Mental Health Awareness Day, guys. I mean, it's supposed to be an important day, right? This is what they tell us. Out of the 365 days a year that we should be maintaining and trying to cultivate and reinvigorate the mental health of the individuals around us, of the people around us, our friends, our family, our peers, our acquaintances, we only devote one day of the 365 days a year trying to give notice and awareness to this issue that plagues us all. And the remaining 364 days of causing and perpetuating that plague and disaster upon the people that need other people to be aware of their mental health so they can be helped. Man, I'm Somewhere There Peace, so we're gonna get right into talking about Mental Health Awareness Day and the problems with our society and how they celebrate, quote unquote, Mental Health Awareness Day, right? Like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna get into this topic now, right? Let's talk about society, right? No matter where you go in this world, we have New York, where I'm at right now. We have London, we have Paris, we have Nepal, Thailand. All of these places exist, right, in various parts, remote parts of the world, yet the people that are in those various areas remain in their little groups. In those groups are a set of behaviors, there are a set of policies, there are a set of even vibrations that cause the aforementioned actions that people are sharing within their midst. If you are not on those vibrations, then you will not even be spoken to, you'll not be looked at, you won't even be considered. We're gonna talk about how semen retention sort of ties into this whole mental health thing. When we begin these practices of semen retention, right, saving our seed, trying to ascend physically, spiritually, mentally, you are raising your vibration naturally, which causes the aforementioned 3 to also improve. When you do that, you're signaling to the people around you, that aura, as I always talk about in my previous videos, you are of a different kind, you are a different type. You don't fit into the groups, you don't fit into the various demographics, not demographics rather, but social fabrics of the various societies that I mentioned. You could try your best to even look like them, speak like them, act like them, but you will not get accepted because your vibration, your aura spoke before you even opened your mouth. You will consistently be marginalized, cast aside. I generally feel incredibly sad for the individuals that are in their beginnings of the semen retention practice, because you are going to feel a huge backlash as you start to separate from society, or not you separating per se, not your act of choice, but rather society is separating themselves from you because your vibration is changing completely. Mental health is a huge thing. We have never seen a bigger chasm between men and women at any other point in history than now. Even so, the victims of this huge chasm are mostly men. Do not ever get it twisted. Of course, the female victims are just as important as the male victims. But males suffer from this whole separation and from mental health issues more than ever. We have men that don't even know, they don't have an identity in this world. There are no role models. If a man goes out and find a role model, they'll be met with a whole bunch of gender politics. They'll be met with a whole bunch of these ideas on how it is to be a man, which is a little warped in my opinion. Some of the examples of which is to be way more in your feminine than you are in your masculine. I am a man, a proponent of having a balance, but the individuals of this world, thank you. The world sort of pushes more of a feminine nature, a feminine aspect, a feminine trait on men. And by men chasing this, or men that don't even have role models and are looking up to this type of behavior, they are going to identify more with their feminine. And the more that they are masculine in a world that is predominantly pushing femininity, the mental health issues are going to occur. There's going to be a disparity of understanding. There's going to be a disparity of connection between what true masculinity is. Who is at fault? Should we blame anyone? In the past, there was a lot of situations where we've become the children of single parent households. Men that were on a completely opposite end of their spectrum of masculinity and femininity, they were completely masculine and they decided to have a whole bunch of children with wanton regard and acknowledgement of what having children actually means and what the responsibilities are for having those kids. As a result, we grew up in single parent households, most of us single mother households, and we'd have a faint idea of what it means to actually be male. Males that grew up in this situation, that grew up in these environments, have now developed a lot of mental health issues, such as increased aggression and violence in general, with no habits or practices on how to transmute that type of energy. Men have gone to prison at extraordinary rates. Men have off themselves at extraordinary rates, and men have been diagnosed with a lot of deteriorating mental health at problems and conditions at astonishing rates. On the female side, there are women that, of course, they grew up in a very abusive household, and by, enduring that kind of situation, that torture, that physical torture, that mental torture, consistently every single day, or however the increments were, they grow up and indirectly push that type of behavior and lifestyle upon everyone else in their midst. They become abusive, indirectly abusive, lack of commitment, lack of trying to find secure relationships, an impulsive attraction to negative traits, because the trauma conditioned them to only desire those kinds of behaviors in the opposite sex. We are in a world mired by mental health issues channeled through the vessels of the human experience. We have various bosses, managers, supervisors in our midst that push indirectly this type of behavior, that without the proper filters, we also fall victim, and we also mimic and copy and broadcast these same types of behaviors onto everyone else. And we leave the innocent ones, right? The ones that are solid of mind, that have their equilibrium of mind, to try to ascertain what the source of the issue is in all of us. I give you guys this solution and truth. Semen retention, celibacy is a very, very powerful way in order to deal with your trauma, in order to become mentally sound and of equal balance in your mind. The world has many, many ways of indoctrination upon its citizens, upon its denizens. The individuals that do not seek to stay with the herd, to stay with the crowd, because of their cyclical behaviors of degeneration and devolution in the forms of excessive drinking habits, saying things that they don't necessarily agree with, that ultimately objectively lead to the destruction of the body, partaking in behaviors and hurting people indirectly, even though they know nothing about that personal individual's life, right? Just because policy and politics tell them to do so. People that have chosen to stay away from that will have a ravage upon their mental health, because the social experience is the only thing that make human beings feel alive, in addition to a whole bunch of other things. Social experience reinvigorates the mind and the hearts of the human being, right? Of the human experience. In this one day where we acknowledge the mental health issue, nothing is actually really being done. How much money, how much capital is going towards solving the mental health issue? I think that there are way better ways that this could be solved. I don't think it involves just throwing a whole bunch of money and investment at some sort of hospital, crossing your fingers, burning some candles, and hoping that they actually tackle the mental health issue. No, it starts with a complete destruction and erosion of our society and its rules. People hang out in their little cliques. They lavish their personal sheltered lives, right, by themselves in their groups. We have races that stick with each other. We have people that are of the same religion that stick with each other. God forbid someone else from another religion wants to hang out with someone else from a different religion, right? I.e. the Christian with the Jew, or the Muslim with the Buddhist, right? That can't be possible. They are afraid of being taken out of their existences, their sheltered lives, right? Their protected lives. This is the world here. We want to be protected. We believe here in America we're completely safe. Right? There's no foreign threat or domestic threat that can actually harm us. When in reality, we are completely subject to a whole bunch of things. The mental health issues and lack of equilibrium being one of the number one things, because if our leaders are suffering from mental health crises and the people that they govern are suffering from mental health crises, then domestic threats will be born perpetually from within, and there will be a destruction of our society as we know it. What I'm telling you is this: get on, men, and women. Be celibate, get on the practice of semen retention, seek to open your world, seek to connect with individuals. Stop trying to go into a little clique and having your little group of friends indirectly attacking individuals that you don't even know, because that's exacerbating the mental health issue that leads to aggressions, that leads to crime, that leads to a whole plethora of things that will perpetuate separation and desolation in this society. We know nothing in this world. We only listen to riches. We only listen to individuals that have things, physical things, right? That seem to have a command over this physical reality. When we don't listen to true teachers, to true proctors, to true advice, to real knowledge, unknowingly or knowingly, consciously and unconsciously, we perpetuate this disaster of mental health. This is what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not even indirectly causing separation, but there needs to be an understanding when you undertake this awareness of mental health. People in this world do not really care about you. The general herd of people, they don't care. They never did like you, especially when you go on this journey and you separate yourself from the crowd. You separate yourself from the herd because of an introspection about the future of your life, the trajectory of your path when continuing with that kind of behavior. Guys, understand yourself, understand ascension, understand what true beauty is, what positivity is. If you see someone suffering mentally, if you see someone on their knees, if you see someone in pain, it should not behoove you to go over and comfort them. The solution to the mental health problem, right, begins in our little engagements. When we are on our way, when we're using public transportation, we're going to work, we're going to Zara, right? Because I got my jeans. We're going to the Adidas store, whatever. We're going to the airport. We should not feel any anxiety in a goddamn crowd. That doesn't make any sense. The people that make up the crowd are you. It's the same individual. We are all human beings. Why are you afraid in a goddamn crowd? If you see someone ailing, it doesn't matter if they're old, young, standing up and you have a seat on public transportation, let them sit. If you see something that makes you laugh in public, right? And so you think someone else has noticed that same nuance, share that experience. Stop being so afraid of each other, y'all. It's not that serious. If you see maybe a parent that needs some sort of uplifting, okay, maybe you watch Somer Del Piso channel, you may not believe in marriage and kids, but they're suffering, help them. This is what's been done. That's the general message of all the religious leaders all around the world in their various cultures. Help one another. If we always opened ourselves to each other, the mental health crisis would be some sort of bedtime story after you're reading the goddamn Three Little Pigs. It will slowly stay in fiction and it could never exist. The problem is that we've allowed ourselves to fall victim to the negative aspects of human interaction, of life. And as a result, we allow ourselves to find a foreign solution, a medication, in order to try to solve this issue. And we lose big time. Get on semen retention, men, women, understand your value, fall into your femininity, and we will find truth yet. And with that being said, that is all I have to say today to talk about this mental health crisis. If you guys enjoyed that kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, share the video with some peers. Don't ever let this place get you down. Trust me, it is not an us versus them. It is us with us. And maybe them as well, whenever sometime in the future we have connections with extraterrestrial life. We'll be together. We have always been together. Stop trying to separate yourselves based on whether you're Spanish or you're goddamn Chinese. Guys, it doesn't really matter. Try to connect, understand each other. Understand each other. Your true enemy is the enemy that divides, right? That destroys human interaction, that exacerbates the mental health issue, that perpetuates darkness and destruction, that dark entity, the enemy of the mana, the enemy of life, the anti-life equation, right? Let's talk about the dark side and DC. That's your true enemy. Stay radiant. I shall see you guys in the next video. Woo!